Happy Tuesday afternoon, everybody. I hope you're enjoying your day thus far. It is Nicky Steez here for episode 5 of Sports Talk from the Heart. And tonight, we're going to talk about a lot of NBA talk. We have the NBA Summer League. We have also the 76ers I'm going to talk about a little bit. And yes, I'm going to get into it. I'm going to get on a rant about Daryl Morey and what he's doing with the Sixers team this offseason, especially free agency, because it has been atrocious. It has been. He hasn't done anything significant. And I'm going to get into a rant on that. I'm going to give it another minute, let a few more people come on through before I officially get into it. So I'm just going to check out my notes for just a minute. All right. And yeah, we're going to get into it. So 76ers offseason, it's been terrible. It has been so far. And Daryl Morey, he's really showing that he's an incompetent GM at this point. He really is. You got him, Elton Brand, are absolute terrible. It's just absolutely atrocious with those guys. So you got, with Daryl Morey, though, specifically, I'm going to rant about. Because, we've seen a lot. We saw last week, I talked about in a short, I'm going to get into it. He trolled the Sixers fans. He was outside of the donut shop saying, I don't see any casual Sixers fans here. It was in response to a Tobias comment he left where he said that, look, casual Sixers fans would trade me for some donuts. Well, look, not everyone on here is a casual Sixers fan, number one. And some of us that are one you traded, it's not so much that we hate you and you think you're a terrible player. It's that your contract, you're getting paid way too much there, buddy. You are. Now, I'm sure Tobias don't care because he's got money on the table now. So he ain't going to care what I got to say or what anyone else got to say. As long as his pocketbook speaks, says, shoot, I got all this money in my bag. But we as fans know it's not good for the team to have that type of money invested in a solid role player. So from my point of view, I've made it clear, and I'm making it clear again. He's not a terrible player. He's in bad contract. He's getting paid too much. But unfortunately, looks like that trade's not going to go through. We had an opportunity. We had a couple opportunities. Draft night, we had an opportunity to make something happen there, try to get something in return. We didn't do it. We had the opportunity going into free agency a few weeks ago, going to 4th of July weekend. Nothing happened. We were thinking Fred VanVleet was going to come to the Sixers, but nope. He went to the Houston Rockets. Oopsie daisy. Okay, what's the backup plan? Maybe we'll pull off that Tobias trade, try to get Buddy Hield from the Pacers. Maybe that's a backup plan. Oh, wait, but then the talks that Damian Lillard's coming to the Sixers. He might be coming. Yeah, you've been saying that for the past 4 off seasons, and it still hasn't happened yet. So I don't even want to waste time talking about it. And that's how you know Daryl Morey and the 76ers have had an uneventful offseason. When old rumors that never see the light of day continue to get talked about. That's how you know that this has been an uneventful offseason for the Sixers. And they haven't done anything of note. Because if they did, we wouldn't be talking about Damian Lillard and the possibility of a trade involving Tyrese Maxey, because the Sixers would have already done something by now. But they haven't. And as long as Daryl Morey is GM of this team, I don't know if they will. And really think about it. When you even go look back on Daryl Morey's time with the Houston Rockets, he objectively was not a good GM there. He was not. You had to see, at one point in 2014 offseason's a perfect example during his tenure with the Rockets. He, at that point, believed that Chandler Parsons, Dwight Howard, and James Harden would be the trio to bring a championship to Houston. But he let Chandler Parsons leave to the Mavericks, and he didn't match there. He traded away Jeremy Lin, who was a solid role player for him there. Daryl Morey, he tried to take on triple-double man's contract, Russell Westbrook, when clearly the Thunder were tanking. Point is, there's not a good history with Daryl Morey. He even at one point suggested that Harden's a better shooter than Jordan. What are you talking about, Daryl Morey? Okay, look, James Harden's a good regular season player, but in what universe is he a better scorer than Michael Jordan? Dude. And you see with this offseason, what has he done significant? The most significant thing he did was trolling Sixers fans on Twitter. That's the best Daryl Morey has brought to us this offseason. It's not good at all. And look at our bench. We lost Shake Milton. Granted, Shake was just a bench guy, granted. We also lost, what's his name? We lost Niang to the Cavs. Okay, their guys are replaceable. Doesn't seem like a big deal, right? Until you realize they haven't gotten any valuable pieces to replace them. No TJ Warren. No Seth Curry. They didn't do anything. The most notable thing they got was Patrick Beverley. You say, well, he could be a decent player. Okay, maybe. That doesn't fix everything. What about the rest of the bench? Korkmaz is still there. You got Harrell still there. Dwayne Dedmon. Wait, Montrezl Harrell, he didn't do that good last year. And ultimately, here's another thing. Now, granted, we did re-sign Paul Reed. We matched the Utah Jazz's offer. That's nice. But here's the problem. We now have four sets. How are you going to work with that? You got Montrezl Harrell. You signed Mo Bamba because you were worried you couldn't pull off the Paul Reed deal, so they panicked. They decided, okay, let's sign Mo Bamba while he's on the market, just in case we don't get Paul Reed. And if we don't want to wait out to try to get Reed, and then if God forbid we don't get him, Mo Bamba's gone to another team. We have no backup center, so they signed him in a panic move. But now that unfortunately means they have 4 centers. So how are you going to rotate with those guys? Are you going to switch one of them to power forward for your bench lineup? Okay, so what's the plan there, Daryl Morey? See, so that's one of the problems right there. You have too many centers. Yes, you need some big men. You especially need a credible backup center for Embiid. But you should have just pulled off the deal. But you got Paul Reed back. So what was the point of getting those? What's the point of that now? So what are you going to do now? You're going to trade Mo Bamba away? For what? Pull off that sign and trade? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Point is, there's too many centers. If you're asking me, cut Montrezl Harrell out of the 3 of them. But this is just ludicrous right here. This is one of the big things that came out of it. There's nothing good. And Daryl Morey, he apparently believes that Nick Nurse can fix it all himself. Which, if you've been following the NBA, you've been following. We got Arku, put it best. Daryl Morey is a moron. Yes, he is. And like I said, as I was saying, you're talking about, so the thing, Daryl Morey, he thinks that Nick Nurse can fix it himself. But if you look at Nick Nurse last year with the Raptors, he had no bench. And how did that work out? Oh, wait, they missed out on the playoffs. They choked in the play-in tournament. So, yeah, now granted, the Sixers have a better roster than the Raptors. Yes, that is true. However, they're a team being carried by a handful of players through the regular season and into the playoffs. And what ultimately happens? Inevitably, come playoff time, they choke in the second round. And with this team that Daryl Morey has put together, what makes you think that this time around will be any different? I don't see it at all. I don't see how this team's going to be any different. And this is also their karma for years of poorly managing their bench. They should have gave Paul Reed more playing time 2 years ago. And he could have already been re-signed before that point. Also, you let Isaiah Joe walk. He's a valuable bench piece to the Thunder. He's not a star, but he's a decent bench piece. He could have been helpful to our bench, now couldn't he? If we actually knew how to use those guys right. So this is also years of poor bench management, poor player development coming back to bite the Sixers. I mean, yeah, you can bring in Nick Nurse all you want to. That looks cool. But ultimately, if you don't have the right pieces. You're only going to get so far with that team, Daryl Morey. So what are you going to do next? What's the next move? I don't get it. I just don't. I don't. At this point, my optimism going into the season is going to be low for the Sixers. I'm going to honestly, I'm telling you warning in advance. When it comes to the basketball for the season, I'm going to be talking like a cynical old guy a little bit when we get there. But that's really all I can say about the Sixers. All I got to say about Daryl Morey. Just, we should have really seen the writing on the wall with this guy from his run with Houston, that it was the players that carried him to a couple playoff runs. But even then, how did it fare when they got there? It fell flat. But yeah, that's all I got to say right now on Daryl Morey. And now I'm going to be switching gears, going to be talking a little bit about the Summer League. Now, for those of you guys that haven't heard my perspective yet, for the Summer League, I feel like, to me, it's almost like a glorified preseason with early first year, second year, third year guys and some G Leaguers, hoping to at least get some notoriety, maybe get a roster spot. That's all I really see it as. It's basically a summer, basically preseason for those guys. And just like preseason, it's also not about the team results, more so about the individual performances. Now, for me, I was mainly checking out Summer League to keep my eyes on Webby, see what he was doing. So I'll get to that one while we're still at it. So Webby played 2 games, played one Friday, played one Sunday. Now, the first game Friday, obviously, it was his very first time on an NBA court, technically. So he was technically on the NBA court for the first time. Obviously, he's still green, and he's making a big adjustment from that style in France. He's still a kid coming over from France, coming to the NBA, which is a completely different style that you got to adjust to. Obviously, the very first game, there's going to be some bumps in the road. So I'm not going to judge him too hardly for that. Because if you look at his performance out there, obviously, he was looking lost sometimes trying to defend. He was getting dunked on. I mean, he was just out there getting his ass eaten. Pause. But yeah, he was out there. He wasn't looking good on defense. I mean, he did make a 3, but even then, some of his offense was a little bit off. But, I mean, but it's part only his very first game. So I'm not going to judge him too much for that. Obviously, he needed it to get that experience off his back, get the jitters out of him, get that experience on NBA court. Then game 2 on Sunday, he had a nice outing. 27 points, 12 rebounds. I mean, there were still some questionable moments, some missed shots, but hey, it's all, it's going to happen, especially very early on. It's going to happen to the best of players too. You're going to have your bad moments, but he improved. He showed more in game 2. He played better. He certainly on the offensive side. So that's a good thing right there. That shows that, he got those jitters out of him. He started to make some adjustments going there. Now, though, unfortunately, the downside is for those of us interested in seeing Mr. Victor Wembanyama, the rest of the summer league, that's not going to happen because he talked with Coach Pop after the game, and apparently they came to the agreement that he's going to sit out the rest of the summer league, which it's a bit of a shame for us as fans because we really were looking forward to the summer league just to see how he performed individually, and we're not going to get that. But hey, so far, I mean, hey, it's only his first couple summer league games. Let's just wait. Let's not judge him too much yet. And we'll have to wait and see what he does ultimately come season time, because that's going to be interesting. That's obviously from Wembanyama's point of view. Interesting to see how he does with the Spurs. Can he help him make a push? Is he going to have a strong rookie year? Time will tell on that. But hey, at least it's good we got to see him a little bit in the summer league. So we at least got to see some highlights from the guy. It's cool right there. But also, I was just looking around too at the summer league, looking to see who was doing what, how they were doing. Also had Moses Moody from the Warriors, but he's been putting together a few solid performances in his games. Got to wonder, though, with Jordan Poole being gone, if eventually Moody could maybe take that spot in a similar role to a Jordan Poole. Obviously, that's something the Warriors would love to have, for him to kind of take that similar role to a Poole, maybe take that step being there. And you got Cam Thomas of the Nets, of course, having a nice summer league. And of course, Keegan Murray from the Kings, of course, he's out there doing his thing. Quentin Grimes from the Knicks, pretty solid. And of course, Paolo Banchero from the Magic. These guys are having some solid summer league performances thus far. But then, yeah, I'm mainly focused on Webby. So now that he's out of the picture, now I got some more time to pay attention to see what these guys like Moses Moody, Cam Thomas, and those guys are doing throughout the summer league. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do right there. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to grab a quick sip of water. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back now. All right, let's get into it. So I'm going to go take a look on NBA.com right now. I'm going to see what else, see what we got going with the summer league, see if there's any games coming up. All right, I'll share the screen with you guys in a. No, I'll just read it off right here. All right, we got the Knicks and Bucks today. We got Thunder, Rockets, Pelicans, Suns. You got the Hornets and Trailblazers, Bulls, Kings. You got Spurs and Wizards, but unfortunately, we're not going to get to see Webby play in that one. But yeah, all right, we got pretty good. We got a pretty good amount of games tonight. We got Raptors and Pistons, Mavericks, Warriors. We also got the Knicks and Magic. So there'll be at least the Knicks Magic one's a little interesting. As long as Paolo and Grimes play, that should at least be interesting to see the highlights of that one. So we got some game here for this summer league. At least some intrigue in it. Is that Knicks Magic game tomorrow? I think the Knicks Magic game might be tomorrow, actually. But all right, never mind. But at least we got some games right here for the summer league. That at least has a little bit of interest just to see some of the players there. But overall, as a whole, man, other than that, I really don't care, honestly. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Whatever team's going to win that tournament, I don't care. There's nothing really coming out of it. See the individual performances and look forward to the season. But there is one more thing I want to talk about. We're still on the subject of the Summer League and Victor Wembanyama. There is something I want to talk about that happens off the court. Now, there was an incident, apparently. Obviously, some of you guys have probably seen the footage of him and Britney Spears. Well, the incident was he was walking with a security guard. He was going straight, and Britney Spears was in the area. So she decided she wanted to try to grab his attention, try to get a picture with him, try to meet him real quickly, which is no big deal. However, what happened in this case is she went to put her hand out to touch him, and the security guard, who saw that someone was getting ready to touch him, he reached his hand out like this, and him reaching out his hand while she was going to touch him hit her hand and caused her hand to smack herself in the face by accident. Now, I didn't get to see the actual her hand touching her face part from the most clear angle, but I did see her try to reach out, and the security guard, he wasn't even looking in Britney's direction. He just put his hand out like this, seeing that somebody was trying to touch Victor Wembanyama and decided to just do his job and what he felt was necessary to put his hand out so the other person wouldn't touch him. And that's part of his job right there as a security guard. So obviously he wasn't trying to hit Britney Spears, and he didn't even know it was her when it happened. He clearly wasn't even paying attention in that direction. But this blew up on social media. Britney reacted to it, feeling she reacted as if she got hit, and it's kind of and obviously some people made a deal of it. There was even TMZ trying to ask, should Victor apologize? And I'm like, my reaction, no. He shouldn't apologize because he didn't do anything. He didn't even really know what was going on until after the situation happened. I'm sure either someone told him about it or he learns about it through social media. Probably getting DMs, stuff, people talking about it, and that might be how he found out, or someone told him immediately afterward. But clearly, the point being is he doesn't have anything to apologize for because he didn't do anything. He's simply minding his own business. But this is what I hate, when people try to make a much bigger deal out of things than it really is, like this situation. People are making far too big a deal out of this situation between them. As far as Britney Spears goes, I get she wants to meet Victor. That's okay. She wants to meet with him, maybe take a picture. That's all cool. There's nothing wrong with that. That's good for both sides. Good for Britney Spears to get her name out there. Good for Wembanyama to get himself out there. Good for his PR to show himself taking a picture with a fan. But there is a right way to go about it. And you would think Britney Spears, being in the entertainment industry and being a celebrity, would understand the parallels between the athletes and entertainers. That she could have easily just said something real quickly out loud. And if they didn't recognize her right away, and remind them that she's Britney Spears. Is it okay if I can take a picture real quick? If that was the case, probably Victor would have said, yeah, sure. They could have gotten a picture taken, upload it to social media, do some positive PR. So I just think personally, Britney Spears should have known better, being that she's a celebrity. Either contact somebody, ask if you can meet him, or just ask right when you're behind him. Just ask simply, hey, I'm Britney Spears. Hey, Victor Wembanyama, I'm a fan. Can I take a picture? I just feel like that would have been so much simpler, and we wouldn't even have to worry about people trying to make a big deal out of nothing if that would have been the case. So that's all I got to say about it. I don't want to give this situation too much attention, so it's going to move on. And while we're talking about the NBA, there is something I wanted to talk about that is just stupid. So there's this in-season tournament proposal. At first, when I saw it, I was a little bit confused when I found out on Sunday. I had to look at it several times just to figure out what is going on here. And I decided to hold off on it until today because I'm going to have a lot to say. I could have dropped a short on YouTube ranting about it, but that wasn't enough time for me to come on here and say what I wanted to say. So they're trying to do some March Madness, like soccer-style tournament for the season, which is set to start in November and go into early December, with the finals being on a Saturday. Now, here's the thing with it. This tournament, the prize for it on the line is ultimately, what is it, $60,000? For a bunch of players that already have a bunch of money in the bank? To me, that's not going to work, because that's not going to motivate players who already got a bunch of money coming in. Now, I get that the NBA regular season, it's a drag. 82 games. And hey, we got Where You Hiding coming in. Eagles, 76ers, Phillies content creator. Thanks for stopping by. Yes, sir, I'm on here talking a little NBA basketball. I ranted about the Sixers offseason and all the awful things Daryl Morey's doing. Talk a little bit about the Summer League. Now I'm talking about this stupid in-season tournament. Okay, I get obviously that, look, they need to do something to make the regular season a little more interesting, especially the early part of it, because especially like November, December, when football's going on, a lot of people aren't really paying attention to basketball like that. They're paying attention to the NFL and college football. And then even into January, of course, too. So I get the NBA is trying to do something to try to make things a little more interesting. But with this whole tournament thing, and so it's going to start November 3rd, all the way to early December. And that's not a bad time slot, if you ask me. Early December on a Saturday, the finals, for a bunch of cash to players who already got a bunch of money anyway. You really think that's going to make them play for something? But I'll get into what I think they should do with this tournament in a second. So here we go. We're going to have 3 different groups in each conference. I'll share the screen with you guys real quickly, show you guys what it's going to look like. So here we go. Okay, so here's the group draw results. You got the East, you got the A brackets, give the Sixers, Cavs, Hawks, Pacers, Pistons. The B group, the Bucks, Knicks, Heat, Hornets, Wizards. The C group, Celtics, Nets, Raptors, Magic, Bulls. In the West, you're going to have the A group of Lakers, Suns, Grizzlies, Jazz, Trailblazers. Group B, Nuggets, Clippers, Pelicans, Rockets, and Mavericks. And then Group C, you're going to have the Spurs, Thunder, Kings, Warriors, and Timberwolves. So they all play. So they're all going to play each other right there, at least. They'll all play each team within their bracket. They'll play a few home, few on the road. And then eventually you advance from the singles tournament. I'll show you guys right here. I'll scroll down, read it off to you guys. The tournament will take place. So the tournament nights will take place every Tuesday and Friday from November 3rd to the 28th, with the exception of Election Day. Okay. Only NBA games played on tournament nights will be group play games. Group play games will count as regular season games for all purposes. Team will play each of the other 4 teams in its group in one group play game. Team's record in these 4 inter-conference games will determine whether the team qualifies for the knockout rounds. In the event 2 or more teams are tied within a group, the tie amongst the teams will be broken according to the following tiebreakers: head-to-head record, potential difference in group, total points, regular season record, random drawing. 8 teams will advance to the knockout round. Right, and then we get to the knockout round. So it'll be the quarterfinals will be December 4th and 5th, neutral site semifinals on the 7th, and the championship on the 9th. Personally, I just think this whole thing is stupid. If you're going to do a tournament, here's what I think you should do. Do one late in the season. Now, granted, I understand they're not going to do it because you're going to be competing against March Madness, but if you want to do something a little different, maybe have a tour. If you want to do something that was actually interesting, maybe do a tournament where the team in the winning conference gets home court advantage in the finals. That would actually make something to play for. So if a Western Conference team wins, that means a Western Conference team will get home court advantage in the finals. That'll actually give the team something to play for, especially teams that are contenders. It'll give them motivation to go out there and play in this tournament and actually want to win. So that way they can decide, they're like, hey, wait a minute. We win this and we make it to the finals. We got home court advantage in those finals. Let's do this. Let's go out there and win this tournament. Then it might actually be a little bit interesting, but I don't think this tournament thing is going to work, especially with money on the line. And I don't think this tournament style bracket just isn't going to work for the NBA. It's not. It's stupid. It's dumb. And I get they're trying to do something different, but it's just not going to work. If you ask me, I think this is an atrocious idea. I could see, or I could even see if they did a tournament. I just don't know if this tournament's really going to create that much intrigue from my point of view. Maybe it might boost some fan interest, but at what cost? Now, I could see maybe if this were a situation where if it were late in the regular season, granted, they're not going to do it because of March Madness. They know they would have to compete. But if they were to do something like early April, like have a little mini tournament, like with the top four teams in the 8-team tournament, like say the top 4 seeds in the East, top 4 seeds in the West, late, have the winning team get home court advantage in the playoffs for their conference and even in the finals, then it might work. Maybe not the best idea in the world, but that could maybe work. Maybe, because it would actually give the players something to play for and they'd be more motivated. But I just don't think a tournament works for the NBA. I just don't. I mean, unless you're going to do a tournament in the offseason where the winning team gets the first lottery pick, then that would be something different. That would give teams something to play for. Now, I get the NBA. They want to try to make the regular season more interesting, but I just don't think it's going to work. This is the way to go about it. I think this is a terrible idea with this tournament, and I don't see it working out for them. I know it's just a lot of people are still confused about what's going to be going down with this whole thing right here. And furthermore, we're still going to be following the NFL mainly during the months of November, December, and into January. You're not changing that. We're still following the NFL. We're still going to be following the playoffs to see what's going down there. So, yeah, I just don't think so. I personally don't think. I think they should just forget about this tournament. I get that they're trying to do something different, but I just don't think it's going to work personally. So, I think this tournament's a bad idea. I think the best way to do it is let the summer league games be played out. Let's see how the players do. Let's just get through August, September, get the regular season started. All right, and that's really all I got to say for this one. So for the NBA, I pretty much talked all I can talk about for the NBA on this one. I'm going to switch gears a little bit just for a few minutes while I still got some time. If you've been following my channel, you know I drop shorts on my channel, sometimes about the UFC, sometimes about boxing. I know you had two UFC 290 at the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. You had two title fights, which was interesting. You had Alexander Volkanovski. Let me try it again. Alexander Volkanovski retained his UFC featherweight title by TKO in the third round against Yair Rodriguez, who was the interim champion. So Vol's on top, right? So Vol's staying on top there in that featherweight division. You also had in the flyweight division, we have a new UFC flyweight champion. We have Alexandre Pantoja defeating Brandon Moreno by decision to win the flyweight championship in the co-main event. We also had an interesting fight in the middleweight division. Robert Whittaker got beat by upset in the second round against Dresses Duplessis. But even Whittaker afterward admitted after the fight that he came unprepared and ultimately he lost out on, which is the only thing he can do at this point. Admit, yeah, I came unprepared. You got the best of me. Congratulations. But yeah, it was a little bit of an interesting card there with a couple title fights. And you also have a UFC fight night coming up too with Holly Holm. Yes, you guys that followed Ronda Rousey. Remember Holly Holm? She defeated Ronda Rousey, gave her first loss back in November of 2015. Yep, Holly Holm is back in the octagon coming up this Saturday night versus Bino Silva versus Bino Silva as the main event on that card. Yep, that'll be at the Apex Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. So the betting odds right now are in favor of Bueno Silva from Brazil, up 145. You also have a middleweight and a heavyweight fight on there. I'll share the screen with you guys for a second if you guys want to see what it's going to look like. Give me one moment. Okay, so this is from the UFC's official website. I'm going to scroll back up a little bit. So there you see Holly Holm versus Mayra Bueno Silva. Odds are in favor of Silva. Then you got a middleweight fight. You got Albert Dure from Russia going against Jung-Young Park from South Korea. Got a heavyweight fight. Walt Harris versus Josh Parson. Still no odds. There's no odds there. But then you got Norma Dumont versus Chelsea Chandler in a featherweight bout. Odds are in favor of Chandler in that one. Also got a lightweight bout. Ottoman Azatir versus Francisco Prado. And then you got lightweight fight. Terrence McKinney versus Nazim Sadyuk. There's no odds there, but obviously, but though for those that are fight fans, there might be something interesting there. Maybe, maybe not. But I know in a few weeks from now in the boxing world, we're going to have a big super fight. Terrence Crawford versus Earl Spence Jr. So for the casual fans, that'll give you something to look forward to, which I'll talk about that one when we get closer to the fight. So when we get closer to that, I'm going to make that one of the main subjects. That should be on episode 7, 2 weeks from now, which will be the final episode before that fight. I'll probably make that one of the main subjects there. Yeah, but we have a lot to say right now, except the Phillies have been doing pretty solid as of lately. They're still fighting, keeping in wild card contention. Hopefully they keep that going, keep themselves in the mix, get back to the playoffs, and with another opportunity to get back to the World Series. That's all I got to say. Yeah, for this one, that's all I got for you guys. So tried to get close to the 40-minute mark, but I don't really have anything going on right now to talk about. So I'm just going to say thank you to everyone that tuned in. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. If you haven't done so already, please do me a favor. Make sure to drop a like and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out. If you're catching this on the Hardcore Sports Network and you haven't gotten my YouTube channel, I'm going to share the link to that in a second for you guys. Hey, there's the link to my channel right there. Those of you guys that haven't gotten to my YouTube channel yet, this is also being broadcast on the Hardcore Sports Network. So if you're not following the Hardcore Sports Network, which is featuring members such as myself, Mitch Kofsky, Next Shift, a whole crew of sports talk coming from there with a whole wide range of shows throughout the day, covering different subjects such as football, basketball, baseball, hockey, etc. Here is the link to the Hardcore Sports Network's YouTube channel right there. So if you haven't done so yet, subscribe to them, drop a like on that side. So again, thanks to everyone that tuned in. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. And this time, signing off,